Welcome back, friends, to Occultists Anonymous, sponsored by Roll20, the Onyx Math, and viewers like you. Thank you very much to our supporters across the board. If you're subscribed or following, or the other kind of subscribing, or if you're one of our patrons, that's the easy list, and it's also the shorter list to read through. I'm not about to start reading our YouTube subscriber list because that's gotten a bit long, which I was reminded of recently when I mentioned it, and somebody was like, "Oh, congratulations on that number of subscribers," and I went, I'm quite proud of it. I think it's crazy, but hey, it's cool. But yes,
great.
A special shout out to Adele, Al, Alexander, Angfalith, Bernie, Buck, Chandra, Chris, Clara, Dogga Duluun, Emil, Funzo Suru Ali, George, Jack, James, Jenny, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, John, Josh, Julian, Cat Feathers, Crazy Man 1772, Magical Hats, Michael, Milo V3, Ms. Grumpy, Moist Voice, Moku, Mozart D minor, Noba, Partition Your Drives, Perry, Primordial Horror of Carpeted Kitchen, which I need to bring up. You think carpeted kitchen is bad? Ask me about carpeted bathrooms.
Oh, that awful one with the carpet and no door?
No. Yeah, there we go.
No. Yup. Mm-hmm. Puppeteer, Rathio, Ryan, Sheksara.
Suspiciously sexy voice.
Thank you. Taryn Stevens, Thomas, Usuf Sama, Vortex, Wolf, Follow Me, and Zoltan. Thank you all so much, and thank you for your ongoing harassment and engagement. It's ridiculous, so yes. No, I do not want to name off 1,000 some subscribers, especially because I don't actually get to see all the names, which is kind of amusing. You can apparently subscribe anonymously, and I'm like, that's cool, I guess. I mean, I appreciate it, but I mean, we're already Occultists Anonymous. I figured it was built into the name.
That's right.
Anonymous.
Right. AA. Anyways. Yes, thank you all for joining us. Welcome back. And to recap where we were, finally getting the show on the road after dealing with some banditry a little bit. And then there's an ongoing thing with Salazar and whether or not, well, not whether or not, but giving him, as Ralph has put it, a second chance to make a fair decision on whether or not he wants to continue with his human sacrifices. That's kind of a B plot, weirdly enough. Or the fact that some of the folks that they had rescued from said bandits and Salazar's gang are, well, one of them got picked up in New York City and can't remember what had happened. What had happened was. And, but again, that's B plot. So instead we pick up with the coven going, okay, we have some things that we need to check up on, but we have an opportunity. Anastasio is talking about spring shopping effectively and sending out a wagon with, some of it empty, some of it full of farm goods collected by Miss Theodosia Stokes. And I'm going to kind of narrate here. If anybody has interjections, please bring them up. But Theodosia Stokes to keep an eye on said goods, obviously some of it, which is her own goods. But also kind of representing the farm. Anastasio having a shopping list as well as some things to offload from the store. And because of that, Gisela is going along. Rilla is going along just because, well, she's friends and why not? And obviously, if you're going to send a heavily armored, a supply wagon like that, you need to send heavily armed guards, and who better than Sheriff Isabel? And Legba is going. Well, Ungun Cloak is going, and why? Well, I'll be honest. Are you going to ask why of the Ungun, the voodoo priest? No, he said he's going, and nobody who's going has got a problem with it, so yeah. But yeah, bunch of recap stuff, and if any of you are like, wait, we didn't discuss that, it's okay, we discussed it off screen because all of us were like, we need to get on this journey before we get distracted by something else. I do believe we had a little bit of a on the way out kind of conversation that Theo was wanting to have a little chit chat with Mr. Enright, I believe. It was Mr. Enright, or Warner Enright, right?
Yeah, Warner Enright.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Right.
that time.
But yeah, what specifically were you wanting to bring up? Because remember you mentioning a door, but I couldn't remember what that was towards.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on Enright to get more influence with him. To try and get him more towards an egalitarian sort of mindset rather than this is my town and these people work for me kind of thing. So that's what I've been working. It's sort of a long-term goal for Theo.
Right.
Yeah. So using the excuse of the trip that we're going to be going on, wanted to touch base with him and see if I can do another door while we'll have that opportunity.
Sure. And what kind of role are you looking at wanting to do?
How about expression?
Sure. With what?
I want to take a measure. So how about wits and expression?
The two usually don't go together. Usually that'd be a social role. But what is on your mind? What are you thinking there?
I'm trying to. This all kind of stems from the problem in Theo's and Nero's. So she's trying to get a read on how Enright really feels and what his morals and what his attitudes are, because he's this monster in her head, and she doesn't really know anything about him. So she's trying to wheedle information about his character out of him without him realizing that she's doing it. Does that make sense for wits?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So a conversation about like the goods we're going to be shipping, and if he has any contacts, and that's sort of the cover for the conversation.
Okay, cool. I like that.
Two successes.
Nice. All, of course, you need is one. And put in some willpower to that.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Theodosia. Making friends.
And I don't remember how many doors you said there were there for this.
I didn't tell you.
Right, okay. That's why I don't remember.
I do remember this is the second door. And make sure this is hidden. There we go. All right, fabulous. I'm trying to remember, did you guys... You had not let Egrock know about the journal, right? That was definitely one of those things that you guys had played close to the chest.
Yep.
Okay. Good stuff.
You want to know the fun things? Quid pro quo. Egrock. Quid pro quo.
Absolutely.
Yes. Quid pro quo.
I mean, she can't trade for it if she doesn't know we have it.
Right.
But I don't think we've even told her about it, have we?
No, for the most part, you guys have had it. It's kind of been in, Rilla's pocket and, Legba's head, basically. Recently, Theodosia's possession, but she does on, as like kind of... Because it's not often that there's it's only the one wagon, but there's not often this caravan kind of leaves out of town. Usually everything's done through the ships, and it's kind of on a semi-regular kind of weekly schedule, sometimes every 2 weeks, depending on weather and things like that. But the town doesn't need a lot of stuff between the farms and the general small population. Things are kept fairly self-sufficient, and this is kind of a big-ish deal. It probably wasn't even done last year. Basically there's some impetus, from a couple different quarters, I wouldn't be surprised if Gisela mentioned something to Anastasio. Theo has this idea. The sheriff is like, oh yeah, that wouldn't be. And all of a sudden it's like, there's this pressure from a couple different angles of town. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we'll just get this. And before anybody really realizes what is going on, this thing has been organized and people are heading out of town. And, people are waving, there's some school kids who've, grown attached to Rilla over the past year. Bye! We are super happy to see the teacher go. Spring break, woohoo! Kind of vibes. Though I imagine for a lot of them, school is actually...
Those kids are going to be work.
Yeah, I was going to say, school is actually probably some less physically intense kind of time. But yeah. But as everybody is, loaded up into the wagon, which I imagine Isabel has Jose the Horse to actually ride. I'm imagining that there are 2 horses pulling said wagon. Does anybody else have a personal horse to ride, or is this basically, 4 more people sitting in the wagon itself?
Trying to think of how much that would affect what you can transport.
Not much. There's 2 to 3 people on the front and 2 to 3 people on the back easily.
Yeah, I mean, this wagon could, not that long ago, was holding all of Theo's life, so...
Are we taking your
I thought that was what...
house
or were
wagon?
you-
Or are we
No,
taking
Anastasio's got a big wagon.
like a actual
cargo wagon kind of
transport
thing.
wagon? Yeah.
And it's got some, the various camping supplies. There's, a couple comments are made about the fact that, actually this is 4 women going out by themselves with...
I had a question about that, actually.
Mhm.
I don't remember if we decided was the offer open to Jules as well to come with us?
That is up to you all.
Yeah.
He's a member of the coven.
I'm gonna bring him.
So it's 4 women and Jules.
And then
And Legba.
Legba.
And
Which
that
actually,
was
I
another
think
thing I was going to bring up, is that it might, we have modern sentiments
Mhm.
that disregard oppressive gender roles and expectations.
Mhm.
However, at that time in the past, it probably would have
They
made
would have
sense
needed
to people.
Some
Yeah,
escorts.
that John Paul was going. Exactly.
Right.
I think that would be the reason why they'd accept it more so than
Mhm.
it's the Ungan
Yep.
who's like saying what he wants. It's like, oh, okay,
That's very
sure.
true.
A man's going. That makes us feel more comfortable.
Yeah, and then if you have Jules in, it's like, okay, there's more than... Yeah, okay, that's very true. And more that was an out-of-character thing of, like, did we want Jules along too? So they're both...
Oh, no, I get that.
Cool. Yeah, so I like that. Jules definitely has his own horse, and so probably is riding alongside Isabel after their last flirtation. So yeah, that puts then 4 people in the wagon itself. So cool. Yeah, the wagon for the most part is fairly packed in terms of you've got crates of goods, bags of produce from the winter, and various... Well, yeah, because that's the other reason Gisela's going, because Gisela has some of her own weaving and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of personal things, and I imagine some other folks within town who have their own little side business are like, well, hey, I have this overstock here and nobody else is buying it in town. See if you can, get anything for it. And so it's basically the town's flea market,
Yep.
Riding out of town. But it gets organized, after you guys have whatever meeting and then are heading out of town, and everybody's like, oh, that's cool. That's really great. Everybody's kind of excited for it. And Eggrock is there, waving you off with everybody else. And she's got this look. She's like, what just happened here? Like, I know you guys are up to something.
Oh, this is good. All right.
Awesome.
Here we go. Cloak looks her in the eyes and sends her a ping with telepathy.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Says, you want to know? You know what you got to give.
And she just waves, like doesn't even respond. You can hear the communication, and she gives you the white noise crickets in the
Dial
background.
Yep.
And it's just like no, I know. And she and considering the number of times that she has snaked these small little mysteries that in town that you guys hadn't noticed, and all of a sudden she's like, wait, what did you guys pick up? That is and with the understanding that the travel out to the fort, thank you, Perry, you know the rules and so do I. So on the trip out to the fort, there's the definite expectation that it may take several days of travel to the fort, time to sell things, make some bargains, locate the things to buy, and then travel back with, some wiggle room of weather, transport, accidents, things are going to happen. So you guys have a week's worth of supplies packed. Obviously you have Isabel, who's a good hunter. Gisela,
Also
I believe.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the definite expectation is that you guys will be able to hunt and forage and scavenge as necessary. It being, May, we're not talking, it's not dead of winter or anything like that. It's still a little on the chilly side sometimes, but, at this point we're into spring. So once you guys are out of town itself, away from home, just because I imagine that, considering she put it together, Theo is the one with the book and the translation. And I'm just going to message this to Craig. There is the first line translated as best that you could, putting it into modern parlance. And if you want to just give directions or actually read it aloud or whatever, that is your little bit to translate. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I will message it to Ralph, because Ralph technically Cloak actually has this in the back of his head as well.
So this whole process is kind of like a very elaborate giant rote.
Mm-hmm.
So there's things we have to do as part of this ritual. And the first stop along the way is at our first camp stop. We have to make note of the world around us, both the supernal and the mundane world around us. And it's a time to catalog what you know, what you've learned, and what you still don't know. So understanding of where we have our knowledge and where we have ignorance, and it's that part of it is necessary for us to proceed with the whole task that we're doing here. It's a little bit, navel-gazy for some of us, I know, but it's an important part of the ritual.
Jules pipes up from the back. Well, not from the back, he's on the horse. He goes, there's a whole lot I don't know, and my eyes are pretty closed, but yeah, I'll contribute to this. It sounds good. And of course, coming from the scientist background, catalog things that I don't know? Absolutely. Rilla is kind of right there alongside. And immediately, there's a tone shift from both of them as it's a flashback a year, right, to when they were obsessed, almost as much as Mortimer was about the telescope and stuff like that. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, let's look around, let's observe as the cart goes out. And just out of curiosity, Craig, because you have the map, air quote, the reins, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Which direction do you send everybody?
I don't know that it matters. So whatever direction they choose, I think. I'm just reading through it to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's time for contemplation. So I assume we're going to want to spread out from the camp so we're not interfering with each other's.
Oh, it's not even from camp. It's from home. So this is literally take a day from
Yeah,
home
just-
travel.
Yeah, so travel, and the fort's going to be a few days away, but in case there's people following or something, we should probably head towards the fort as a starting point for the overall journey. But from camp, we should. Or am I not understanding your
No,
question?
you're fine. You're overdoing it. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So you guys head towards the fort, just to yeah, because
Oh.
it was like, if you guys are you gonna head west, or it was a moment to flavor it. So no, it's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's literally just the book says go a day away from home.
Mhm.
It's like which direction? Which is of course one of the big reasons why Mortimer was not happy with this book, because it did not make any sense.
And I
Also, he
remember
couldn't
from the
read
trip,
it.
like from wherever you end up starting, like there are directions you go
mhm.
and certain distances you cover, and it ends up basically tracing a large, complicated rune.
And especially because some of the stuff is subjective distance, travel a day. Well, how long is that exactly? Is it dawn to dusk? Is it, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that also makes trying to figure out what this shape is kind of confusing. So you have these kind of vague shapes and directions, and then others are very clear. So yeah, it's designed to be irritating. But yes, as you guys obviously stick close together, wagon with your horses, and because I imagine Isabel is in charge of security, how exactly are you, like, is there any vibe to this? Is it just we're going to ride along together? Are you heading out first? Because imagine if you are headed towards the fort, it's literally we're just going to stick to the road.
Not there's a road, so to speak, but
Well, yeah. That, worn wagon track that meanders roughly
I
in
was
that
not
direction.
assuming that even existed. But
Mhm.
well, because the majority of the way that people get to Purgatory Bluff is on the river,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I doubt there's.
That's true. Yeah, I
Not
guess there's
really.
probably not a worn track. Yeah. There's enough of a track out to, Legbuzz Crossroads. And, after that, it all kind of fades into wilderness. Cool.
Yeah, it depends on how frequently there's traffic between Fort Leon and
Yeah.
Purgatory Bluff.
Yep.
If it doesn't happen very often, then there's no reason why there'd be worn tracks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost everything comes down the river because that's easy, air quote.
Mhm.
Cool. Any specific, well, how do you guys follow the directions, air quote? There's no gotchas here or anything that, let's go hog wild with,
Isabel takes time to ride out ahead a little bit faster and then loop back, and then she'll send Jules out on a run, and while she stays with the things like that, getting an idea of terrain ahead and sort of paths around obstacles. And
Oh yeah,
stuff
that's
like
true. Because you and the horse much easier than big
Right.
chunky wagon, right? But anybody else ways of observing your world as you travel along the in the cart?
Oh, I'm
Mhm.
real fast. Are we supposed to meditate and stuff while we're traveling, or once we get there?
Once we
I
get
thought we got. Yeah, I misunderstood.
But specifically, yes, as you travel, make note of the world around you, both the supernal and the mundane.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got the impression it was observe your surroundings after you've traveled a day from home.
No,
Considering that, like
once
a
you
small
actually
retcon.
rest, that's when you will be cataloging, your observations, kind of thing.
Okay, sounds good then. Then let's see. Although it makes it challenging to observe the mundane, Cloak activates his mate sight and keeps it on during the journey. So I'm willing to spend the willpower depending upon how many scenes you think they'll transpire over the course of the day.
I mean, it's going to be quite a lot, because even if we take the broader term of a scene being, an hour.
Okay, so, well, then let's have a brief discussion about something then.
Mhm.
Considering we're doing this specifically, right? We need to observe the mundane and the supernal, one of the most important and basic ways that mages do that is mage sight. If it seems like it'd be impossible, you'd exhaust yourself before you're done if you just keep mage sight on constantly.
Yes, 100%. If you tried to maintain mage sight for the entire time, yeah, very, very exhausted.
Well, you can keep it on for a number of minutes equal to gnosis without spending willpower. But then when do you get to activate it again? Do you have to just turn it off and then turn it back on?
How does... I mean, we're very into the narrative here. So...
Yeah, okay. Well, the reason why I'm asking this is Cloak would either try and help people keep their mage sight on by maintaining their willpower for this explicit purpose. Like, ooh, maybe that's a... Ooh, how about this? Oh, okay. I got a cool idea, all right? And this, I think, has narrative significance. So, acquiring a dot and prime has helped Cloak understand some things about the nature of both mind and space, the truth, the value, and their function and their integration into magic, in its basic terms. So, would it be possible to cast and maintain a spell of mind with conjunctional prime that specifically maintains or allows people to maintain mage sight without the willpower cost?
Maybe like for the duration of the spell?
Yeah, for the duration of the spell. So it does. The only thing it does is it regenerates the willpower cost of mage sight.
And yeah, that's a
I like
pretty good
that.
spell with extra steps. So
Yeah, that's
cool.
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, and with more focus, which I really like.
Yeah, if you're spending willpower on mage sight, it'll get redeemed, but it won't regenerate the willpower that you're spending on anything else.
Right. Or, yeah, like I said, just to make it a simple mechanic of maintain mage sight without willpower.
Yeah, because we got to observe the supernal. Okay, great. And it seems like this is an intrinsically magical thing, and it would make sense to Legba as the master of understanding to provide everybody with the means by which they can master their own understanding throughout the journey.
Every time you say that, I just think of the Master of Unlocking.
I always go to Masters of the Universe, but sure.
Yeah. I think as far as Isabel's like
I'm going to go ahead and write that up.
Okay, you got it.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
As far as studies and stuff goes, so her focus is very much on, use the term natural, or like, I'm going to use the term natural, like in the term of like natural sciences sort of thing.
Right.
Between forces and life and spirit is related intrinsically to those very closely. And so I think the things that she starts considering that she doesn't understand in this context is like, as we're passing, exposed cliff faces and stuff like that, or banks of rivers and things like that, the way in which the non-living world has come to change over time. And so she's trying to get glimpses into matter and time.
I like that.
And through this process, through this lens of, this is what I know, this is what I don't. How does my knowledge blind me to these other things? Yeah. Especially with matter being inferior. Or no, never mind. That's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, matter's my inferior.
Yep. But yeah,
or rather, Cloak's inferior.
But yeah, that's actually a really good vibe of like, yeah, no, life stuff, spirit kind of crosses over that, but matter and time, yeah, absolutely no. Yeah, I like that.
Really through the spirit interaction with non-living things, and then the changing and like, I would imagine that life gives you, even if sort of Darwin hasn't shown up yet, there's an understanding of life changing and getting better at certain aspects.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool. And are you doing that with Mage Sight? And one thing I just want to add as a comment for Cloaks, and Cloaks spell will not keep people's Mage Sight on. It just helps them if they want to keep it. So
Yeah, if they choose to.
Especially because Isabel being on security, that -2 penalty was.
Yeah. It's not a full-time thing, but as much as she feels comfortable to it, and more like when Jules is out on the scout ahead and stuff like that.
You're resting Jose the horse, riding alongside the wagon, and I like that.
Okay, and for mine, I was wanting to do something similar, looking at like the history of the land as we're moving through it. Like, what are the effects time have had here? Looking back. I wasn't even thinking of doing it as mage sight, more of just I guess like a quick and dirty sort of post cognition, just as we're riding along. Just sort of try to see how things have changed.
Yeah, and so like, oh, that's an interesting thing. What did it look like? And then jumping back.
Yeah, and then also, basically like intertwinings of fate here. What brought you here? What is your place here?
Oh, right. On the objects and things.
No, I mean like her.
Oh, okay.
It's like, where do you fit in here? Like, how is your fate intertwined with that of this place?
I like that. Okay.
Just kind of introspective magic meditation, basically.
Well then.
Starting off well. Okay, so that's up for a month.
I like that imagery, like we're passing like an erratic boulder in the middle of an open field or something, and like thinking how that got there and what led that to be there.
Rewind and watch it crashing down after a volcano or something like that.
Or like ice sheet recedes and leaves boulders behind, and
just trying to figure out why everything is as it is here. What led it to be? What might its futures and pasts be?
I like that. That's cool.
That's great.
And willpower restored for Ralph. Exceptional success. Yep. And what are we putting that towards?
Yeah. So, the duration's already at a month. So, you know what? I could get extra mana. I'll get a point of mana. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else I could use it for right now.
All right.
So,
and what about Miss Theodosia Stokes?
So, she knows it's spirits exist and stuff, but she doesn't kind of see the point. She can do everything she wants with matter directly without having to ask somebody for help or whatever. But she's and like she knows about her own sort of version of Twilight. But like that I was kind of focusing on her inferior arcanum is like, how would I do the things that I can do if I had talked to spirits to do it and that kind of thing. Just sort of and using Prime, she should be able to see signs of spirits around, right? Not necessarily see the spirits themselves, but see telltales of,
especially with resonance.
So be able to see resonance and stuff like that is just kind of contemplating that as, and because that's really the biggest thing that she doesn't really know much about. So,
gotcha. So like actually casting like sacred geometry to actually see and observe.
Yeah, from time to time. Cool. If she sees something interesting or like her prime site pop something, spend a moment to just sort of look at the lay of the land with sacred geometry and see what's going on.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, and then for Ash and Craig, were you guys using active mage sight like the entire time, or is it on and off again, or?
I'm going to rely on the passive mage sight to ping to prompt to turn it back on.
Sure.
But just making sure you're open and available for that to happen, sort of thing, right?
For me, it's going to be mostly turning it on and off. Like, it's not on always, but if she sees something that she feels would prompt it, basically. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of, again, sort of meditating, riding in the cart, and then when we get to where we're going, setting up camp and just sort of existing out in the wilds and feeling.
Right. I like that. Cool. And then the other question is more the vibe of the thing. And actually, I realize I need to come back to Cloak and actually see what Cloak is observing. But
no worries.
Are you guys trying to be chatty while doing this? Is it, some quiet conversation? Or is this got this, very monk monastery quiet observation of stuff other than, a couple comments here and there? And is it, or is it more like, hey, we're on a road trip, friends on a road trip, kind of vibe?
Not for this part, for me. With the instructions we've been given to start with, at least, it's much more quiet and contemplative.
Gotcha.
Good luck with
that. Isabel playing the flute?
Playing the flute and offering to, help out with her magic in whatever ways are capable, and like trying to bounce ideas off of, I think especially with her trying to figure out some matter stuff. Bouncing some ideas off of Theo.
Which would mesh great with Theo's focus too.
Exactly.
Right. So quite probably it's good. It's conversation, but it's, it is still focused on the thing. And, Isabel spending some time playing because it's hard for her to stop that. I imagine it's the same thing with like a drummer. Oh yes, let a drummer just sit there. No, there's going to be the tapping on the legs. Yeah, no, it's like, it's a natural instinct.
And Theo's definitely open to it, or amenable to conversation, because she's like, since the very beginning, she's been very aware of how much we've all learned from each other beyond what we were able to learn on our own. So, yeah.
And so, coming back real quick. Sorry, Ralph. I'm
no worries.
Writing notes as I go. Yep. So yeah, what is Ralph? What is Cloak and Legba looking at as riding along?
So it would no doubt surprise you that Cloak is prepared for a journey wherein he has to sit in a wagon for a while and maybe have a conversation and do something else at the same time. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely trying to find the astral correspondence between the things we're traveling through and the Temenos. So what he suspects is that here on the Great Plains, there might be places where the specific physical locations aren't present, right? Somebody hasn't thought of it. But there might be some places where people have made camp and important events have happened over the course of the years.
Or you have
like maybe there was yes, exactly. There was a quarrel, or this was a favored lover's spot at some point in the past. He has no idea. He's just open to the possibility that oftentimes there is a surprising astral remnant, or places that people think are are otherwise irrelevant and forgettable. Mm-hmm. So that first thing is, of course, he's cruising the Temenos, trying to maintain that vision on it and trying to evaluate, which is challenging because he's keeping mage sight on for the most part.
Gotcha. But yeah, and then not physically challenging. So
yes,
a quick little. So obviously we're leaving Tenno to Teachlan behind for now, as we.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He needs to take a step away for the moment.
Okay. Cool.
And he'll return.
Sure.
Considering he's been sitting there for about a week, so. Mm-hmm. And then during the voyage, he's going to try and have a conversation with Rilla about the nature of truth.
Sure. Which, she has opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has a big thing about truth is both subjective and objective. For some people and some things, it's like both of these facts can be true. And they may conflict, and it depends on your personal truth. Meanwhile, she's observing Prime and seeing that there is a truth, and the fact that some of those things, I can see the supernal symbols of this, and they conflict with each other, yet both exist. And she's I think because I imagine Rilla and Cloak do not often have times to interact on a regular basis, especially within town, right? There's the coven meetings and probably some conversation that like they get on like after the meeting and things like that, but they don't have the friendly interaction that Rilla can have with Gisela or with Theo because they live together, stuff like that. And so Rilla is like, you want to talk about truth? Let me get my notebooks. And so it's quiet conversation, but she's definitely got some thoughts about things, and she's obviously in a Brimos too, so that factors into it a little bit too.
You figured. I mean, I think that there would have been a closer connection between Cloak and Rilla if he hadn't failed to entice her to dance so long ago.
There's that what if. Have a talk with
exactly.
Have a talk with Gisela about that sometime. Be like, hey, can we figure out what would have happened?
So the one last thing is that prior to the journey, Cloak would have asked Theo if she could do something that he's been thinking he might be able to do, which is actually Theo did it once. If Theo would be willing to give him the capacity to see matter, like she did when she gave him the capacity to see death and therefore souls when they first went together into his Oneros.
Sort of. Not quite the same thing, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. We were soul gazing, but I thought he
Soul
did
marks.
use shared sight.
Soul marks.
Sorry, I meant soul marks, but I thought he did use shared sight because he had Prime at the time. Oh, Theo had Prime, so I thought she did.
I think she
Never mind.
just
Maybe not.
Yeah, because I think she just cast soul marks on the two of you while you were observing each other, because it was to observe the soul.
Okay.
Not shared sights.
Fair enough.
Sight, but
Then it would be a novel request. And having contemplated Prime and Sight, he would ask if Theo might be able to do that. If you could make me know matter. If it's just a facet of understanding, can I see what you see through my eyes?
for Craig, it is totally a thing you can do with Prime. It's Prime 1, in fact. But it costs mana.
Yeah.
What is it? 1 mana per... Where is this thing?
Yeah, it's 1 mana per Arcanum. So you can substitute anything for Prime.
No, because it's not a substitute for it.
What I mean is, it is a substitute. You can give them Prime, or if you so choose, you can give them just a different Arcanum that you have.
Oh, okay. I see where you're saying. Okay, yep. I was thinking of replacing the Prime Arcana. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
I'm with you. But yeah, it's 1 mana per Arcana unless it's your ruling Arcana. So for matter, it doesn't actually cost you mana.
Hell yeah.
And you don't need to roll that. That's
okay.
pretty straightforward. Same thing with like Gisela casting post-cognition kind of at a glance. It's just like, throw me back, as long as she's dealing with stuff within the recent, well, as long as the landmark hasn't changed, which, hey, landmarks are kind of nice that way. Like, other than erosion, they tend to stay. What makes them landmarks? Anyways.
And last bit, the reason why he wanted this is because matters his inferior arcanum. He wants to see the correspondence. He can see space, he can recognize connection and stuff, but the permanence that resides in the objects, he wants to see what he's missing out on.
Like that. Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. And just for everybody else's sake, and especially because you all are engaging in conversation imagine you guys left early dawn, let's get as far as we can kind of thing, stopping at dusk. So and some breaks along the way, obviously. But Rilla is, as we've referenced before, she's really trying to expand the breadth of her arcana and trying to understand that. So yeah, at one point or another, she ends up bugging all of you. Couple things, and busts out these notebooks that reminiscent of Gisela, and you guys have probably like shared over, you know, ways of taking notes and jotting things down, and she probably has her notebooks in the Hallow alongside yours, kind of thing. And well, actually no, she probably keeps hers at home because she has a witch for a landlord. I'll get there eventually.
Roommate.
But yeah, so
do not call Theo a landlord.
Well, you own the land, you hire some people to help you work it. I'm just saying.
Felt like it is.
Yep.
And yet you participate in a society.
Yeah. I am very smart. Anyway, sorry, quickly getting this back on track. Yeah, so Rilla is, you know, chatting with all of you about various arcana, especially the ones that she hasn't developed yet. And Jules, for the most part, is once he realizes that you guys are dealing with things that are beyond his literally ability to see, he starts to shift gears, and it's a similar method of stuff that you see with Benito, because the two of them have been sharing the Sleepwalker playbook, right? And so quickly, especially with Isabel working in tandem as security, that's his thing. And then occasionally it's like, okay, we're going to rest the horses, and is like, it's either security and making sure you guys see things, and like Gisela, oh, that's a cool rock, and he's like, got it, bring over, you know. He's very into helping, to a point of like this, he like is really enjoying this and being that right hand to a wizard kind of vibe, right? But in between all that is over with Isabel going, see any cool spirits? You see anything? You looked over there. What's over there? And there's this continual like, because he wants to do another really dumb summoning. It's like, it's been a while since there was that demon that showed up, and they're like, nope, we close that door. We don't do that ritual anymore. But spirits, generally speaking, are all right. And in, you know, the past year, he's summoned a couple spirits, usually within earshot of Isabel. Because it's one of those, I made a mistake. Isabel's like, all right,
looking over his shoulder,
right?
Yeah. like not to like admonish him, but to like protect him.
Right? Yeah. It's the not quite helicopter parenting, but it's the start some shit. Watch what happens.
It's intimidating the spirit.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I can see Jules walking in. Sometimes he's got like this ghostly wolf just sort of resting its fangs on his head. I did it again.
I was gonna say, for interacting with Rilla, Isabel takes some time to bust out the wings again. Just sort of ride with giant wings off to one side.
I like that. Because I was going to ask if you stayed on the horse the entire time for stuff. For
the most part, yeah.
Okay.
And just for flavor, is there any kind of outward sign if there's anything with Jules? Or are you guys strictly
professional?
Yes.
I mean, probably.
Okay.
Now that they've addressed it and talked it through, yeah,
they ride a little bit closer than than you normally would.
A lot more of an intentional sort of thing about it.
Right. Especially since there's the back and forth aspects, so you don't see them together a lot. But I'm sure once you guys make camp, it becomes a little bit more obvious. Yeah, so you guys continue on with these observations. Notably, there's nothing that really stands out out of character, what you would imagine from stuff. There's some interesting things. Gisela seeing, you know, like we mentioned, rocks being thrown thousands of miles by natural forces, movement of glacial sheets. We have observations of strata that, you know, basically Isabel and Theo kind of observe and kind of talk about, and within the time frame, and probably Rilla interjects, maybe Jules even, talking about, oh yeah, we know, there are these layers that probably reflect across time, things like that. It's generally a slow standard going. The only thing out of the norm that I will mention is that for Cloak, it's not even out of the norm, but you are able to find the occasional landmark that people point out. Amusingly, or perhaps even frustratingly, you can never actually manage to arrive at those places in the astral. They always appear as a landmark in the distance, never something that you actually you go to visit. Probably cool. The majority of them are all, it's a landmark out in the distance, and that's all it shows up in the astral. There's occasionally some where you spot a box canyon that people recognize, and people have camped there before. But for the most part, they're always just landmarks in the distance off amongst the Great Plains. And some of them have European vibes, and looking at it. And then others you look at and you can see the effect that Europeans have talked about, but they have stronger vibes within the Native American community. But because you are only recognizing and visiting them as landmarks and without knowing their names and their true selves, they're always just landmarks in the distance.
Ah, okay.
Which, for, Cloak, especially the space aspect, it's like, that is slightly frustrating, but also an interesting, thing. Without actually knowing the place, it's hard to
It touches on an obsession. That's a gap in understanding.
Yep.
How do you arrive at... Go ahead, yeah.
So, yeah, and that's...
I was going to flip the idea.
Oh.
And, that 4 out of 5 of us, Isabel being the only one that doesn't have Prime. So there's probably some chatter about ley lines and stuff like that going on.
That's actually really true, yeah. There's, Prime this, Prime that, and it's like, listen, it's all just residents, guys. What are you guys talking about? These floating lines through space? No.
Well, with that topic of conversation, would you want to see Prime stuff?
I've showed you them before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which actually, that comes back to actually at camp, as you guys start to talk and catalog, and because I imagine at this point we're not seeing new stuff, we're setting up camp, putting up some tents. This is all of a sudden where the conversation really starts to happen, as everybody starts to talk about all the things they've observed, which, hey, this is what the journal told us to do, but also, we're a bunch of mages, we're not even hiding in Theo's basement or anything. We can just talk amongst ourselves and conversation just happens naturally. Also, shout out to anybody, if you've ever been to a nerd convention, it's like that. I don't have to shut up about how great such and such a thing is, and I could literally shout about it, and somebody will come over and want to talk to you about it. Someone's gonna yell back. Right. It's just, and all of a sudden you had these mages and a sleepwalker along and having these discussions. And so things kind of flow, and you guys start to talk as the sun sets, gets into dusk. You've got, camp up against and around the wagon. The horses are, picketed up and settle into basically an evening, before turning in, because there's no reason to stay up late into the night.
And before we turn in, based on conversation with Isabel and what I've been doing for Legba, offer that to Jules and Isabel if you guys want to have a look through Prime or Matter.
Be helpful.
Yeah, I can do that.
I think with Jules it would require 4 dots to give him mage sight.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so I wouldn't be able to do it for Jules, but
you could cast it on him, but he doesn't.
Right, and that's, I think, the discovery. Yeah.
I mean, that's probably something you do, right? And you're like, oh, I can just give this out, and
then realize that it doesn't. He can't just use it.
But can't I cast supernal vision on him?
No, because supernal vision is the viewing a thing through the supernal lens kind of spell. kind of way,
You gotta have
Exorcist
Apocalypse.
Eye, or yeah,
Okay, all right.
Isn't that what it's called?
correct.
Yeah, Apocalypse is the road.
So yeah, Jules is like, wait, shit, I can see this stuff. Oh,
We should have made him a potion.
Which I think like there's the conversation and the little chat as you guys are sitting around the fire, and it's like, well, we do have the ingredient. Well, not the ingredients, the recipe, and it's like, maybe
Because at
not.
this point, I'm assuming the people from the Diamond Order would have told us all the ways this could have gone horribly.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah, because if nothing else, Egrock would have asked about like the awakening and how Rilla awakened. Because especially when they arrived, remember their focus was protecting and understanding Rilla and her aspects of destiny and things like that. So yeah, they definitely were asking about this. And Rilla at the time probably, especially those initial days, probably would have been just fine telling about what I've seen. And it's later on that we shift into the more transactional interactions that you all have with the Diamond Order. And Rilla picks up on that pretty quickly, because coming from the scientist community, it's like, yes, all knowledge, everybody should know everything. But however, this is my little hoard of knowledge, and so
gotta publish first.
Right.
You can find out later.
yes.
Mhm.
So it is as the sun finally sets and you all are starting to contemplate, yeah, maybe we should go to bed so we can get up in the morning. And, by firelight, Theodosia is looking over the journal for the next steps of the journey when, actually, Theodosia is the one who looks up and your peripheral mage sight kind of tingles. And actually, well, everybody's does, but Theodosia's especially. And for Gisela, there is a, big death arcana that kind of floats into the space.
I'm just gonna turn and look at Theo.
Did you do that?
I was looking.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Composure 5.
Yeah, right. As you say that, cut to my notes because I actually wrote notes. We'll have a gimme out of character, but a ghost materializes in front of all of you, and we'll just start at the top, right? Kind of androgynous facial features beneath like a linen burial shroud. The eyes are just closed, kind of resting. The face doesn't even look like it has been touched by decay or deterioration or anything like that, but it's got that little bit of like solidity and rigor mortis, for lack of a better term. It's got the burial shroud over it, but the rest of the body is wrapped in just a single long wrapping cloth round, from basically shoulders down, and the bottom of it is kind of stained in dirt. One might assume grave dirt. The feet are just kind of floating maybe a foot off of the ground, so it's this kind of wrapped, not quite mummy because that sends a different vibe, but just kind of solid figure that just it floats forward into basically the campfire light. And as you what was it that you said, Gisela, that's interesting? Or no, Craig said that. And this multitude of voices, maybe a dozen people speaking all the same words, says, "I'm glad that you find me interesting."
Well, the unexpected is often interesting. What brings you to our camp today?
I come to share the warmth of your fire, the glories of your knowledge. I have hungers that must be sated, and I am called and kind of sorry, I'm doing head tilts and I'm realizing, and it's kind of, again, eyes closed, kind of moves over each one of you in turn and passes over Jules completely and says, I'm called by those who begin a journey.
Well, then you are welcome to share a fire.
Cool. Do you withstand the effect that hits you? Yeah. There's another, like, peripheral mage sight death kind of sensation that goes off tugging at you.
Everyone, or?
Theodosia.
I'm gonna say no.
Cool. Reduce your willpower and mana by 1. Or not reduce. Spend a point of willpower and mana.
Training was about opening your mind, right?
And there is a...
She has hungers. They have hungers. I shouldn't assume gender.
She, yep.
You did say androgynous features, so I was correcting myself.
Yep. But yeah, she kind of lets out a relieved sigh. And like I said, it's a multitude of various voices. I love Ash's reaction. Nope! We're gonna hang on here.
Yeah, because I have been thinking about this. This is for Rilla.
Oh, okay.
Because she does still have her destiny, and I am worried about things trying to act on that.
Absolutely.
So basically, as soon as a ghost showed up, I'm just like sliding over, reaching out and touching her hand, and putting a warning gesture up on her.
I like that. So you're overreaching by 1. What yantras are you using?
I have my magical tool and the shadow name Cabal theme.
Cool. So just 1 chance die. Cool. 5 minus 4 plus 6 math. 7?
11 minus 4. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. And like she kind of flinches as like there's a spell, and then kind of recognizing that it was like, okay, that was you. Cool. Actually from her perspective, she still has her prime sight on, so watches your nimbus kind of exude off of you and recognizes, it's like, okay, cool. And like kind of seems to shift, and she's like, yeah, no, I can handle this. And then also kind of notices that the spell was only cast on her. And she's like, okay, hang on, should I be insulted by that? There's a like, we're gonna talk later kind of expression, but immediately looks back over to the ghost.
So now that a toll has been paid, I was going to ask, are you a guide or a challenge?
I'm a door. And
Right.
like the mouth, by the way, has not moved, has not opened. It has just remained, the whole facial expression just completely passive and at rest, but then kind of passes her expressions over the other 4 and says, will you too feed my needs, my hungers?
In order to enter a door politely, one must knock. This seems to be the way. Yes, take of me what you will.
Cool. So yeah, reduce your
Ancient words, dude.
Right, I know. Reduce your mana and willpower by 1.
Cool.
And
Triumph through adversity. Triumph through adversity, baby.
For Isabel and Gisela.
I mean, she's very hesitant, but I think she'll, at this point, follow the lead of Theo.
Okay, cool.
Seems comforted. Not comforted, but at least complacent in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if this is what you think
Can always
we should do with this ghost.
Cool.
This is my last willpower.
Oh, well, you'll get another one when you sleep. Yeah, so, yeah, everybody reduce your willpower and mana by 1.
You say reduce, do you mean like take it away?
They just spend.
As if you spent it.
Yeah. And the figure kind of shifts, and there's this definite, like, well, especially with a multitude of voices, this susurrus of, like, not necessarily pleasure, but like contentment, right? And satisfied. And it's like, okay, good. And then turns back to Theo and says, do you have more to give?
Is more needed?
I still hunger.
What am I through sight? That's like, what am I seeing in front of me here? Because the multiple voices has got me thinking this is not an ordinary ghost.
Yeah.
And if I want, I can pay a mana for prime sight to get the underlying truth of what I'm looking at.
Well, the mage sites aren't going to help you out all too much. You're definitely going to need to.
No, but it might give hints or whatever, right? That there's
Right.
something else going on here.
Yeah. It does seem to have some. Let's see here. It does say, yeah, manifested ghosts, and you can tell that no, it doesn't have a soul. Prime sight. I mean, you could use it as a yantra in a sacrificial sacrament kind of way, but no, otherwise prime and matter don't give you much. Yeah, just your initial stuff. It's like, yep, that's a ghost. You'd have to do oh my gosh, I can't remember the name, but yeah, the knowing spell to further understand it.
Would
Right,
it
but-
accept knowledge as payment?
Do you ask that?
I mean, yes, but like at Theo, because it's not talking to me, so I don't want to
Mhm.
talk to it.
You're free to bargain however you like, I think. But I expect that since there are 6 of us taking this journey, it's looking for more keys to be purchased.
Yeah, and Rilla has paid up as well, just to be clear.
So I will allow another willpower and a mana to cover jewels.
Oh, okay. As you give of yourself again, it kind of moves towards you, just kind of this
Mhm.
drifting motion, and it says, do you have more to give?
I think I have given sufficient. What do you have to give now that we have given you?
There's a wry kind of amusement to its voice and says, I owe you nothing.
Oh, it's a strong word. But it is often customary that if you've been sat at a table and provided for, given hospitality, that you might entertain your host in some way.
What are you a door to?
I think it starts by responding to Isabel saying, say it. You are not my hosts. I stand at the door. I am the door to more knowledge and understanding.
Then do what a door does and open.
Door doesn't just open.
Actually, with a setup like that, the mouth finally opens. Big yawning chasm of, very rotten teeth. For the rest of the body looking normal and fresh, for lack of a better term, the mouth is gnarly and rotted, and there is the definite like smell of not just like dead, but like long dead. And there's something unpleasant and extra on top of it, just because of Craig, your interactions with ghosts in the past. This is definitely something more, something extra, something different than what you've experienced in the past. Perfect. It's contested with. Oh, God. This is probably the wrong person to use this on, but that's fine. Chris,
Yep.
Would you be so kind as to roll your presence plus composure plus gnosis in a contested roll?
Presence, composure, gnosis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, I don't remember how, because I know you've got high presence. Do you have high composure too?
Oh,
okay.
I have 2 dots of presence and 3 dots of composure.
Oh,
no, 4 manip.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Okay, so never mind. This isn't too bad.
Spend a willpower on this. And get 1 success.
This is the part where out of character you guys are going to realize what you're up against.
Oh, goddamn.
20?
20.
20.
20. Power plus finesse. 20 dice. This is the Awe Numina.
That's a rank 2-3 right there.
Where is... I'm going to read it just... contested individually. Anyone who can see it. Sorry, everybody. Please roll presence plus composure plus gnosis.
Got it.
You just need 6 successes. It's not that bad.
It's all right.
Anyone gaining fewer successes than the entity is unable to move or speak for a turn. If the entity gains an exceptional success, the effect lasts 3 turns.
Gotcha.
So just so you guys know, you don't necessarily need to go hog wild on, burning willpower necessarily.
I'm going to spend one because I want to roll 15 dice. Yes!
Cool. So, yeah. Yeah, presence. You're the one who had the high presence plus composure.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Theo had the 5, so... yeah, so because of I guess with it having an exceptional success... No, exceptional success is after... the subtractions. So nobody is stunned for. Oh no, just
except Isabel.
Just Isabel is stunned for, and I'm not going to bother rolling. But Rilla and Jules are both kind of stunned for a second as it basically the Numina is couched as terror, which just kind of seizes into you, and I. Kind of pleased that the Mastigos is the one who goes terror. Nah, I'm good. But yeah, it just kind of opens its mouth and lets out the stench of death and this very you guys haven't been into or seen. Actually, Cloak and Theo have seen a portal into the underworld, and this reminds you of it. And it's just like this moment now. In this case, Theodosia and Gisela kind of shrug it off after that scene. Cloak just kind of, handles it. And the mouth kind of closes again and says, "You are not my hosts. You are bringing payment." As Karan? How does one pronounce that stupid ferryman's name?
Karan.
Once claimed.
You said you were a door. A door opens as a portal into one place. A ferryman demands a toll. A door does not. A door does not assert itself.
Doors also keep people out.
Doors do not control who enters and exits on their own. They are a function. If you are asserting that you serve in a different role, you demand a toll, you demand tribute, you are not treating with us truthfully. I am willing to pay what's necessary to take advantage of what you offer. However, from this point on, I request that you offer it truthfully, without deceit, without disguised language, or the suggestion that you are attempting less than you are.
It kind of, in that, eerie, too smooth motion, just kind of turns on a, pivots towards Legba, and its head tilts. Probably the first, real expressive emotion it's made, and looks and says, "Who are you to demand this of me?"
I am Legba. He stands. Master of the Crossroads. A door sits at a crossroads, and you assert that you are a door. If you wish not to be a door, and wish not to be mastered, and wish to be paid tribute, suggest it. I am on this journey as they are, and you came to our fire at, as you have implied, the behest of other hosts. If you have problems with how we are responding to this surprise, please take it up with the hosts that have put us on this journey.
I like it. I also really like it because in my head, and feel free, everybody, flavor this, but it's also really good cover for Theodosia over here, get this spell going.
Yeah, no, Theo's beyond fucking around.
Reach for...
instant cast, and actually I need one more for sensory range.
Okay.
But I got 3 anyway, right? It's a rank 1 spell.
Damage Ghost is definitely not a rank 1 spell.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I get that wrong? Where was I?
It's 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 dots.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
So you have to
So
do a
we're
little
overreaching by 1.
Okay. And Yantras, you are using...
My perfected bone cane as a cudgel weapon.
Sure.
And leaning into my... Oh, I can actually throw another one in there because this is, I think, definitely into my shadow name.
Baba Sarah? Yeah.
Yep. So another one for that.
Okay. So that does take 3 turns. I think Legba's speech challenge
Sure.
Definitely covers that. And so 1 paradox. Wait, how much gnosis do you have? 2 paradox, or are you spending mana?
I'm going to spend some mana.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Doesn't accumulate, and that is 6 minus 4 is 2.
Oh, yeah, there's actually 5, so
Mhm.
8 and 6 is 14, minus 4 is 10.
10 dice.
10 dice. And it's 8 again, right?
Correct. Because of your bone cudgel.
9 again.
Oh, is it just 9? Okay.
It's 9 again.
8 successes.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah!
Does there withstand with that?
No, because that's just its damage. Now that said, so you
Get a
could
bonus potency.
do another damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which was minus 2. You're already at 3, 5, 6.
6.
6 bashing damage.
And as she releases this spell, she's like, a door is also meant to keep people out. And let's fly with the spell.
Cool.
It's not being a very good host.
It kind of rocks, but looking at it, this is a beefy ghosts, especially as the spell lands and you've already got your prime sight and death sight open. And while death sight doesn't really let you see the corpus of a ghost, you get that, pattern, and you see it's like, I hit that pattern. Oh, that's a really big pattern moment.
Yeah, I'm expecting this will take a little while to whittle down.
Potentially. And I think we'll pause it there because I think we come back, may have to roll initiative.
Sure.
And we'll see how people handle this either through combat or yelling at it, or we'll see. And out of character, we can talk during the break. So Twitch folks, we'll be back in a minute, and then, go walk and stuff like that. You know the thing. YouTube guys, back in a blink. So off screen, during the break, we rolled initiative, which puts Jean-Paul and Gisela at the top of the order, so you guys can basically go simultaneously. The one thing
she has a higher initiative mod, so she goes first.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not 9? Okay.
Your initiative mod is 6, right?
Yeah. 4 plus
My
2.
page says initiative 9.
It doesn't say it here.
Regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next to composure 4.
The quick thing to make says this is combat, air quote, though not necessarily, because we don't necessarily have to get into the beat it to death kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Out of character, the goal of the ghost is to make you... What's the best way to say it? Out of character, it is to send the mages packing and to give up the journey.
Okay, gotcha. That's his goal.
That is its goal.
In the combat.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I have fast reflexes.
That's right. And then it is fine if these are individual, right? But getting into this combat, because I know some of you are not necessarily interested in, fighting it out and want to discuss instead, what is your goals moving forward?
Open the door.
Sure.
Theo wants the ghost to submit.
Well, Legba wants people to be reasonable and resume the conversation prior to going through the door so that we have all the information we can get.
Yeah, I want to know about it. I'm not...
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want to kick its ass.
Yeah, and that's
You think it's premature to just treat it like the door it claims it is?
Oh, that's absolutely fine.
I didn't specify violence.
Right.
Fair enough.
Because this is where we get into and the ghost could decide to yield,
But yeah, my goal for the combat is to learn from it, figure out what its goal.
Right. I guess we should say
why is it
conflict
here
instead of necessarily combat. Cool. What was the 3d10, Ash?
Oh, when I rolled an initiative, it didn't include the fast reflexes dots for some reason.
That's just a +3.
It's just +3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, initiative isn't.
Yeah, which is, if you cursor over it, you can see it. 2 + 4 + 3. It's just not listed. Yeah, they list it as zeros if you don't have it. But
yeah, that's why I was confused.
Yeah, it's backwards. Yeah.
Sure, whatever.
But yes, that does put Gisela, wants to understand it, Bauer at the top of the initiative.
Can I talk to it and do a spell?
I mean, you begin the spell, right? Depending on how many yantras you use, but...
Yeah, basically the question I asked it earlier was like, what else would you accept knowledge as a payment? Because I can't pay you willpower.
Anymore. Right.
Basically, I'm still trying to barter with it.
Sure, absolutely. And what was the spell that you were planning? Oh, the interconnections we discussed?
Yeah, I was just gonna, I guess, just do it as like a quick and dirty Gnosis Fate.
That's fine.
To see.
Absolutely.
Okay, finally got them all to select on the sheet. They kept erasing ones as I was clicking the other one.
Wah, wah. Go ahead and roll me one more dice because I realized, you know what? You've got the yantra, but specifically I like the idea of asking, what do you want, while trying to use fate to figure out why it's here. We'll give that one little extra die, see if it goes anywhere. Nope. Yeah, so in the classic, TTRPG, talking while out of turn, basically says, knowledge, yes, empty your mind for me. But doesn't actually do anything. Jean-Paul. Pierre,
all right, excellent.
Joseph Broussard, Ungan Kluk.
That's right.
I'm reading the names off of the initiative tracker.
Yep.
Those of you at home. While you're doing that.
Done.
Oh, perfect. Sure.
Jean-Paul yells out, "Everyone stop!" Or Legba yells that out, and then boom! As his nimbus floods the area, chains encircle, make a spiraling cylinder around the immediate area of the ghost and possibly the campfire, rising up into the heavens. But of course, it's not that much space. Whatever much space takes up the first rank of scale.
Reach, right.
Yes, exactly. So, yep, I will roll this.
The intent of the spell is...
The intent of the spell is a weaving of space to ban anything from getting out of that space and anything from getting in. Just a complete obstruction for crossing through that space, whether you're in it or out it. Before this can get worse and anything else can happen, he thinks that people need an opportunity to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
So wait, are we in the space or out of it?
Out of it.
We are outside of it.
And the ghost is in.
Yep.
Yeah.
The very classic Mastigos, you just go away for a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in timeout.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah,
yep.
No problem.
What's up? Cool. And I didn't choose advanced duration, so.
Cool. So
actually, I had the free reach, so I could have. Yeah.
Okay. Just be like, it's there for a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. That's my turn. Oh wait, -1 die. I'll roll again.
Well, and I was also thinking about reach being instant.
And then
I guess
advanced
close
duration.
enough. Well, and specifically I was thinking about range, but being able to just lay your hand there. Yeah, you're right there.
All right, cool. Great.
Cool.
I'll roll it again with 11 dice.
Oh, I'm not worried about it.
Oh yeah? Okay, cool.
Dropping that first or last, either way, you still have your successes. So.
All right, fair enough.
So it disappears out of existence, which, just for the sake of interesting things, a portion of the campfire is still there. And there's just this, where it's been split and broken. Actually, hang on. What yantras are you using?
I was using Shadow Name.
Gotcha.
And the Assault, but then the reason why I re-rolled is I can't use the Assault because it's one turn cast.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in Legba's mind, right? This is a crossroads between how we're going to handle this. This is the first challenge we're encountering on this journey. We really need to decide if we want to start it off.
Sure.
By trying to fight this thing.
Mm-hmm. Which brings us to Isabel.
So we can't see it, or
cannot currently perceive it.
Essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put it in timeout, for lack of a better term.
I have no idea what to do then.
Okay, cool. And come around to Theo.
I was going to study it.
Right.
Or talk to it, or shoot it. And all three of those are off the table. So.
Yep. Mm. Actually, yeah, because it's not here for the duration, and there's no clash. This band is weird. We will just stop at the ghost, I think. And because effectively we've stopped combat. I'm not too worried about initiative, turn order, or anything like that. And the coven has a moment to go, hang on, what are we doing here? Yeah, so feel free. I mean, at this point, literally talk amongst yourselves.
Do you have something to say, Cloak?
I do. As I just did when I said we need to decide what we're going to do.
You seem to have decided.
All right, I'll be more explicit. Baba Sarah just initiated hostilities with a very powerful ghost. The first entity we have encountered on this journey. I imagine some of us are less inclined to violence. I gave us an opportunity to decide as a group how we're going to engage it further. What I've done can be stopped at any moment, but I'm not going to release it until we are all decided on how we're going to proceed, because we are on this journey together.
It was just kind of like tense and ready to go, but she's not talking yet.
I don't think fighting it is the immediate answer. Like, that might be an answer to get what we need from it, but I don't think we've exhausted our other options yet.
Doors aren't always meant to open.
I've shown you that it is trivial to open a door.
This ghost is here as an obstacle. We have already tried bargaining. We've given of ourselves to it. It has given nothing in return and just wants more. It's going to keep on feeding on us unless we exert our will over it.
I believe that to be an assumption. Do you know what it wants? Have you read its thoughts?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
Have you?
I have not yet. I can. But I probably wouldn't invade its mind. I would just try and know what it desires and then see if we can provide it. I suspect that if this is a journey that others have gone on before, it is not necessarily the case that all people journeying must defeat this entity through violence. I am certain of that.
I will point out that we were discussing when it used its powers on us.
It used its powers in response to a perceived slight.
Isabel told it to open.
Yes.
So it opened.
I asked it to act as it claimed to be, no different than you have done.
I'm not criticizing you. I'm establishing cause and effect as I saw it. We camped. The ghost came. It materialized. It spoke to us. It stated it was a door, requested something from us, requested more. Then you said, act like you are. And it used its powers on us. That seems to me... One moment, please. Mm-hmm. It seemed to me as though it was offended by the assertion.
There are other ways of expressing displeasure with an offense than using a power on us.
I mean, it didn't hurt us. It could have hurt us.
Indeed.
It was a flex.
Most of the ghosts that you and I have encountered together, Baba Sarah, have used their powers, especially in response to the presence of will workers. It does not seem, out of character with this ghost, or of ghosts, as far as I understand them, however limited that is, for them to use their powers to assert their position. Especially, imagine if it's encountered mages before, who are similarly less inclined to pay tribute or act in respect in accord with his expectations.
I think we'll have to agree to disagree. I see the situation differently. I see that we gave, and it has returned nothing. And essentially attacked us, whether it caused damage or whatever. It was trying to take our will away from us. That is very offensive to me. I think the only way we're getting through this is to exert our will over it. I'm not prepared to command it. I want it to submit, to yield, and then do what it is here to do if we bypass whatever. It's the gateway to get to the next part. It's standing in our way. It's not bargaining in good faith. It seems to me pretty clear moving forward.
Pause the conversation. Ralph, I need a Gnosis plus space plus be +1. No, +2 because you have 3 Arcana. It's a Clash of Wills against the band.
Cool. Sounds good. It's probably going to break through.
Their Clash of Wills is rank plus influence.
Spend a willpower and +2, so that's 5. All right, that's not bad.
Making sure, because I'm pretty sure Clash.
There is
of Wills...
one more thing that Legba wanted to say. So.
That's fine. Go ahead. While I'm trying to find my...
Which is, he says, Baba Sarah, I think you're entitled to your perspective. I would like to reinforce that we were told to, this whole day, go on a journey from home, observe and contemplate on what we know and what we don't, how much we understand and how much we're ignorant of. And it seems that we're in a situation where we're making a lot of quick choices based on things we assume. And we are hastily disregarding the fact that we exist in a state of profound ignorance about the rest of this journey and about this entity in particular.
Yeah, cannot find a definite answer for Clash of Wills. So yeah, we're going with... That's what we've done before, right? Rank plus influence?
I think so. Sounds right.
What does it roll to activate its power?
Power plus finesse, which is like huge. All right.
Wow, that's an exceptional. How about that?
So yeah, bounces off, and because it is a clash, you can feel it on the spell.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I think after the lesson of the day, I don't think violence is how this is meant to be handled. But yeah, can we talk to it?
Are we all ready to resume?
Study it?
I'll stand down.
Thank you.
I was willing to just let you fight it while I don't. But
a quick question, primarily, especially since we're gonna let the band down. If anybody has a spell that they're like, and I'm gonna throw this out, if it ends up being a combat spell, whatever, that's your character's lying to your characters, right? But other things, I know Ash, Giza may want another swing at this with a little more preparation.
Try it again with like a yantra.
Right.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and understand what it wants.
Yep. So, like I said, this is a chance. Go ahead and write those up right now.
And then Legbar also does say, and Baba Sarah, I do appreciate that you are capable of protecting us from further assaults. If you feel so inclined.
Should I just go ahead and cast this? I've just got the Gnosis and Fate +3 for Shadow Name theme and my
yeah, that works.
Makes sense.
Seeing Stone.
Anybody else writing up spells?
Yeah, he's going to release an improvised practice of knowing with the reach to get lots of things.
Sure.
So that'll be 4, 4, 5, 13.
Oh, I'm sitting here waiting, and I hadn't actually noticed that Rolf's rolling gone through. So yeah, 4 successes there. Cool. Craig, were you writing some up?
Yep.
Okay. Pausing then. Cool. 6, 10, 20? Yeah. Total. And then the reach is for instant, sensory, scale, physical attacks?
Yep.
Cool.
No, of their instant, not sensory. It's instant, scale, and duration, and physical attacks.
Okay, yeah, because it's easy enough to reach across.
Yep.
Actually, through the band across over the campfire.
Well, no, it's Goche Shield, so I'm protecting us.
Right, I'm talking about reaching.
If you're not doing sensory, you have to touch everyone.
Right, and so if you're and that's fine. I'm imagining you all sitting around a campfire and reaching through the band to the other side to be able to touch somebody, just as a more amusing factoid. Overreach by 2, which is 4 paradox. But, yep. Nothing. What did we come up with? 20 dice? Yeah. Oh, wait, hang on.
What is a 7?
There's some potency in there for.
Yeah, I counted that up.
3 yantras, 3 turns.
Yeah, which is fine, because you guys have plenty of, wind up for it. 10, 6, 16, 12 dice. I was bamboozled, Craig. Okay, 4 successes. So as the band comes down, the spirit, well, it's not a spirit, ghost, immediately draws back from the campfire in, very like fighting game backstep kind of float, and hands don't come up, but like there's an intent. And you definitely have that sense of it was expecting an ambush. Nothing comes about. For Ash, the interconnections, especially looking at it and the things that are coming off of it, there's a very big, glowing, obvious interconnection between the ghost itself and this campsite, for lack of a better term, this area, and it is drawn in as you get the flavor off of the connection, though it's not a sympathetic connection, and it has a strong what's a good way, for lack of a better term, we'll put in English, an obstacle course. Right, it is designed to be defeated and a challenge, without necessarily like, a gladiatorial arena. Right, you get this playground
puzzle.
Yeah, puzzle is a good one. Yeah, where it is supposed to frustrate, and some people may, fuck off and go, "This isn't worth it," and others will carry on through.
Yeah, and it had I want to have like instant range, and then the thing that would show me like a destiny or whatever. Like, I don't think it has a capital D destiny, but like, does it have like a purpose?
And that's primarily
Yeah.
it is for, well, actually from the fate side of things, this thing is bound to this job, right? This is the thing. This wasn't its original existence, but now it has been bound to this task. And yeah, we'll kind of leave it at that. For Ralph, you're effectively doing no nature.
Yes.
Okay. I thought. So
instant.
They have virtue and
Right.
vice, but it's reversed in terms of getting willpower and stuff back.
That's right.
It's virtue.
Mm-hmm.
Scrambled through my notes. Believe it or not, didn't write down its virtue and vice because I didn't come up with one. Well, its vice is deceitful. Its virtue is probably ambitious. It has because you get aspirations and obsessions. We'll go over that. Social and mental dots you don't quite get, not in the way one might normally see them, but
Figured.
Well, yeah, actually, mentally and socially superior to normal humans, right? Which, out of character, it's a high rank ghost. You can kind of get that. It has but one aspiration.
Cool.
Challenge everything or everyone that it meets.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, with no further like combat thrown at it immediately, it looks back and forth across the faces. Rilla and Jules especially. Jules is about ready to like dive behind the wagon. Like I'm not prepared for this.
My hero.
what was that, Craig?
My hero.
Yeah. Like, listen, this is mage shit.
This is out of his weight class.
Right. Everybody give salute to Titus. Titus? Yeah, Titus. At a moment, I was like, what was my own character? And really is watching intently, but doesn't make a move. The spirit kind of ghost stands at the edge now of the firelight and says, yeah, actually just repeats its request. I still hunger. What will you give me?
What will you give us?
Yeah, that is not our relationship.
We're not going to sit here and let you feed on us for nothing.
What lays beyond you that you so jealously guard?
I think actually it looks directly at like wherever Theodosia put the journal, right? It looks straight to that and says, the path beyond lies beyond me.
Legba says to it, I believe I was right in assuming that you would use language that disguised your function, your role, and your intentions. However, I believe that your desire to challenge us is true. And I would suggest this. The baying of our will and of our soul is clearly not a challenge to us. It is just unpleasant And so if you wish to assert yourself and succeed in the ambitious demonstration of a true challenge, you would offer us something different, perhaps of the nature that my companion has suggested. And he holds out his hand to Gisela. A challenge of ignorance. That is the nature of the journey.
I was going to offer the knowledge of what we have gained today through introspection, through everything. Come and sit. I'll give you this.
Shifts and moves a little bit, coming closer to the fire, but rather than stepping into like the circle of all of you, begins to actually, Isabel might appreciate the very kind of stalking the outside just out of the firelight, kind of looking in on all of you, and says, there's nothing for me. There's nothing that you can teach me. Nothing that you can tell me that I have not heard many times before.
It seems you are the ignorant one, then. Asserting the arrogance of knowledge.
You haven't
There's
heard
always
it from
something.
me.
Go ahead, sorry.
Just, you haven't heard it from me.
There, I have written down it's Ban and Bane, and this is right on the edge of something here. But I'm gonna lean into it. And damn it, Drew's playing a ghost who wants to be everybody's friend again. But it kind of shifts and moves, and it says, "Don't tell me something. Show it to me. Teach it to me. Make it interesting." And for... yeah, actually, I think I'm just going to leave it at that.
Just want to say out of character, this is totally touching on Cloak's obsession. If we get to teach this like sentinel ghost something that it needs to understand, filling gaps in understanding, he's
Trying to think of how I would show it.
I can help you.
I mean, does anyone else want to talk to this thing?
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am going to I know like death can do this to like raise ranks of a ghost and stuff like that temporarily and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My idea is to pump a big dose of supernal steroid juice into the fire spirit of our campfire. Wake it up.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I know technically there's like the 1-dot spirit spell about nudging sleeping spirits, so yeah, amplify that up a bit.
I'm thinking it's perfecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reads the lines of like spirit summons, but I don't think she's trying to control it. I think she's just wake up.
Throwing gasoline on a fire spirit.
And if you, yeah, exactly. And if you want to do what fire does,
Yeah, rouse spirit is there. Yeah.
where are we at?
Yeah, it's perfecting potency. 182. This spell can also rouse a hibernating spirit prematurely. Potency, blah blah blah. But basically, it awakens a spirit.
Sure, but
I know this is not quite that, but it's right there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I didn't call for that spell is because that's talking about like a damaged, sleeping, like recovering spirit.
Yeah.
Versus this is like
Subs
little baby. Wake them up.
Oh,
Gifted subs.
holy shit!
Thank
Hell
you so much.
yeah.
Gnosis spirit.
Yeah.
Shadow name.
Sure. You're using your flute?
No, just real quick.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And there's this like, obviously she doesn't have like high speech, but I think she's like, there's this like almost guttural like first tongue.
Yeah.
That goes along with the shadow name and stuff like that. And she's just like, wake up. It's very much like wake up and show off. Right.
Mm.
Sure. I like it.
And then to the ghost, she says, "This is what I show you."
And yeah, we have, because it's in Twilight, but not, well, I guess we can kind of bundle it in with spirit summons even and make it materialize. Yeah, easy enough. And so we have, actually, to borrow a little bit from, Isabel, right? We have not necessarily like, well, yeah, like a dancing, figure, the very cavorting, dancing, entertaining, kind of thing. And
the flame do a wiggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And it just, it grows taller, takes on a kind of vague shape of, humanoid shape, I guess is what I'm going for, and moves and shifts, and there's no real mind behind it so much as just this spirit just doing as bidden, to try and for lack, it literally is just showing off. Ghost marks.
It's like soul marks, but I want to read the ghost because it doesn't have a soul, and I can't really do that. It's a knowing spell.
Yep. Go ahead, Chris.
Demonstration is the blend between the natural growth of the world and the ways in which it sits. Not stagnant, but there's like a word I'm looking for. Like the difference between like unliving and like, or matter and life, right? Mm-hmm. And by spirit, I've injected this living flame, right?
Right. And yeah, it reaches out to kind of touch and actually steps into the firelight. Well, the ring of the campfire, and kind of reaches out and touches the fire, which it's a fire spirit. It's also kind of fire, and kind of touches and kind of draws its hand back, feeling the heat from it, and kind of tilts its head and seems drawn in, not quite in wonder, but some definite like curiosity. It's probably seen spirits before, but this is it is performing, it is putting on a show, and following that, and ghost marks I do not think similar to, well, actually, hang on, what's the spirit one have where you get to know a spirit? That doesn't just so it is withstood by rank.
Right, so I'll think I'm on -4 then.
Okay, because you're already at 3 with your death, so that'll bump it up to 5.
Hell yeah.
Cool. All right, 2 questions.
Awesome.
Wait, no, with potency. Wait, how much did you bump it up?
5.
Okay, so you have 1 question.
Damn.
Okay. I'm trying to. I don't know how to phrase the question I want to ask.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I won't hold you to it. What are you trying to ask?
Like, Bane, what is it? What is it looking for to let us go? to open the way for us.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you're talking.
Because I'm thinking it's like it's woven into its nature or whatever, right?
Right.
Like
No, you're on the right track. Yeah, and this is more its bane, because the bane is the thing that harms it, right? Bane is the thing that controls its behavior. Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking that. This is written down. I didn't flub this. This is right here. It's ban, and I'm going to give you its name just for free. The Morning Chorus, Mourai, yields to the performance of a soloist attempting to teach it a lesson.
Yes!
Chris was right there, and I'm like, all right, just a little bit farther.
New knowledge was a
yeah,
this is an ignorance thing.
Right. So, but specifically, it is a musical thing, and it basically,
cool.
Yeah, it yields to, and literally anybody, and technically doesn't have to be a Chris, but Isabel's the one with the flute, right? And it's literally listening to a performance, and that teaches a lesson. It doesn't actually, this is the knowledge Theo gets. It's not that it's new. It is that it is an attempt to teach the performance.
So Theo will then just quietly step forward and put a hand on Isabel's shoulder. You're on the right track, but it's looking for music.
What?
It wants a musical lesson.
Or a parable.
A lesson taught through music.
Okay. Your heart fiddle dee dee.
Play it a song.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. And without like having to pull some Aesop fable or something out, but yeah, some various like kid or cautionary tale kind of thing.
Cautionary tale of a ghost that got burned by a fucking fire spirit if it didn't let us through.
So that's the next step here.
Maybe a little too on point, but yeah.
And yeah, so as Isabel plays, the ghost does not like physically change, but there is a adjustment in the kind of the air, the aura it kind of gives off as it listens and pays attention to the lesson, and for lack of better term and for the sake of narrative, kind of yields and nods and then just kind of slowly drifts back into the darkness as like the campfire starts to give way, and kind of smolders down to embers without dragging on this encounter too much longer. But yes, yeah, actually I think that's it.
Success. And we didn't have to fight a ungodly powerful ghost.
It's not too ungodly powerful, but
yes, you were all right. And then Theo just turns on her heel and walks off into the darkness.
Isabel snaps over at Legba.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think how she phrased this, because she's upset at him, at how he handled the sort of unilateral decision of I'm putting my foot down and stopping this and not letting like things play out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it I don't want to go into like every word of it, but it's basically you closed the doors on us. You did not let us make our own decisions.
That is a peculiar perspective.
You acted as the arbiter of what and how and when things should happen. But we are on this journey together. And if Baba Sarah wished to make the decision that she did and follow through on it, I do not believe it is your right to stand in her way. Regardless of if she is.
I think this is a matter of your frequent perspective on contention. It's never the case that I or any of us are exclusively in charge. We all have choices about how we're going to engage a scenario. Baba Sarah established the terms under which that scenario was going to proceed, regardless of what the rest of us thought. I chose to do something similar. However, the consequence was we were able to do exactly what you just said we should be able to do, which is decide what we wanted to do and all have an opportunity to do so. I would suggest that my assertion of a right to act with wisdom in all scenarios not be interpreted as overbearing.
You may choose your actions, you may not choose other people's reactions.
She could have continued to assault that ghost. I did not force anyone to do anything.
That is how you see it.
Indeed.
And Isabel's done with that conversation.
So Cole goes to Rilla and Jules and says, the two of you are not subordinate members of this coven.
I think I was contemplating what they were necessarily doing, but no, Rilla looks up, grins, and says, no, we're not. But in my particular case, I had nothing to contribute to the situation. So, and like, you can see, she has like literally notes upon notes written in high speech. And without without Legba knowing, she has various prime spells on and her numerous arcana mage sight on as she was watching this. This is from your experience with her, this is kind of her go-to. She observes a lot as opposed to taking action. When she does take action, it's actually kind of similar to Legba's approach in the fact that I've studied the situation and now I'm going to apply my power. Generally speaking, she sits back and using lots of one-dot spells, knowing and unveiling kind of stuff, observes and sees a lot of stuff. Jules, however, is like poking his head up and goes, didn't really have anything to contribute to the scary ghost. And you can see he's kind of looking around, not 100% sure where the ghost may have gone. But, it's like, no, that is nowhere near something that I can get involved in. I do not have the ability to shield myself or, protect myself in a confrontation with a powerful entity like that.
Well, Theodosia so kindly protected all of us, including yourself. We rely on each other as much for power as well as for, and then he looks off towards where Isabel went, and as he completes his sentence, he says, as much as for perspective. This journey we're all on, regardless of where we end up, is an opportunity to understand the world as comprehensively as we can. And a lot of that relies upon us identifying the areas in which we are ignorant. There are many that we are necessarily ignorant of because we're all different people, as this journey so clearly demonstrates. So I would request then more explicitly that you endeavor to share your perspective in any situation where you have the opportunity and feel so inclined, because I would definitely benefit from it, regardless of how unempowered you feel.
Jules, kind of nods, and Rilla sets her paperwork down and kind of looks up and says, then I will add one bit of perspective. One learns greater from mistakes and errors. One should be allowed to make mistakes.
Like this marks a little bit and says, duly noted. I appreciate you for being candid.
But having the powers that we do allow us to experience the world differently and with more risk than, and kind of looks over at Jules and kind of grins at him and says, than normal people. Jules says, I'm far from normal. I have done things. But if every experiment, and she's of course coming from this as, a scientist, right? It says, if I made every hypothesis, every guess, every experiment, already having observed every possible thing and planned out every possible thing, I would not ever actually make any true growth. I would only just be reasserting things that I already know from my study. Doesn't necessarily always apply, but in situations where there's a novel new thing, sometimes a mistake is more enlightening.
It can be, depending upon the consequences of making that mistake.
Indeed. Then, I think the two of them, move from the campfires. Other people are, Isabel headed to her tent to lay down, I think, but, okay. Theodosia is the one heading out into the darkness, and Rilla gets up and goes to go see where she had gone. Gisela is sitting there.
Go engage Gisela.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised that you and I thought the same.
I have to say I don't think Isabel was wrong. Just because I do agree with you this time. This isn't the first time you've unilaterally made a decision.
What do you mean?
Everything involving Salvador. And then all of the men who you spirited back to their home cities without magically. You have quite possibly utterly ruined at least one of their lives.
I disagree.
And I don't think that was wise. Just because you didn't magically break their minds, that man has a target on him. that has also put a target on us. But he can't go back to New York. They know him. He could stay in Purgatory Bluff, but that's a poor substitute for New York and whatever life and privilege he had there.
He would not have had access to that if I hadn't restored it to him.
We could have sent him back on a boat. Things get shipped to us from elsewhere. We could have sent him home the long way. And the others would never have pinged him as having been here.
Suppose that's true.
But did it the flashy way, and now he's here.
I'll reflect on that. However, the notion of acting unilaterally is something I fundamentally disagree with. I believe that, as a consequence of my bearing and demeanor, it's assumed that when I assert myself, it is a mandate that others act in accord with me. And it is not. I think that is the foolishness of insecurity. And it is something I chafe at quite frequently, because I am often misunderstood. With Salazar, when I asserted the things I was unwilling to do, I did not tell anybody what they had to do.
You wouldn't have tried to stop us?
If you wish to sacrifice your wisdom, that is your choice. My statements have frequently, explicitly detailed what I am willing or unwilling to do. I am not in control of your actions. I am in control of my own, and I assert the privilege and opportunity to exercise that specific control, which is why I acted the way I did this evening. The notion of a timeout is so that everyone has the opportunity to make sure that they can choose how they're going to proceed. And if anyone is robbed of that opportunity, I think that is unfair. So as much as I may be blunt, I'm never unkind. So I would appreciate it if my lack of gentleness is not interpreted as violence. But I would like to continue with the compliment I was intending to give you when I first approached you, which is I was delighted that we had a similar perspective on approaching this, because you walk a path of stories and narrative. And up until this point, I've thought of connections primarily in terms of this may sound contradictory, but a metaphysically concrete idea. And I realized that perhaps your own perspective and your own path might inform my appreciation of those things in ways that they remain abstract. So I would like to learn from you.
Sure. I understand I see what you're talking about. And yeah, it is more fluid the way I see them. So I think I have the prime ability to show you.
I'd be grateful.
Perhaps after I've slept.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you.
Actually, yeah, I think we're gonna pin it there with the sound of a rock slide in the distance.
Ooh.
Which is weird because we're out here on the plains.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where we'll pause it for today. I'm so glad I didn't actually. Well, I'm not glad. I'm glad that we didn't go farther because I didn't have any prep for day 2. I was like, okay, no, this is good. This is good. So as always, thank you all for joining us. I know there are some of you who are being a little empathetic and being like, is the party okay? Don't worry. We have nice little conversations afterwards. Everybody's going to be cool. But yes, thank you for joining us. As always, if you want to join us on Discord, that's www.eatinto.space. Come hang out, join us, tell us about your stuff. Happening right now, actually, now that I think about it, is the Body Electric. It's just doing a Promethean, the creative game. So that session 0, well, at this point now is, 1 hour from being done on Twitch. YouTube guys, you'll go check it out. I'm going to make sure they're going to be posting it on our Discord, so you will have a way to find it, even if you're not subscribed to them. And if you want to support us monetarily, that's patreon.com/Occultists Anonymous or staylucky.club. And we'll drop the ball there. And yeah, you can come give us your money. Of course, there's other ways to support us. You can get stuff on Drive-Thru RPG, get your books, and then we get a kickback. There's merch, which I don't have any at my desk right now. Just kind of depressing, but whatever. Wait, hang on. Thank you. Oh, God, yeah. I love that. It's so good. Totally a witch.
That's real good.
So yes, a lot of good stuff out there. Even if you don't want to have like a blatant The Rookery or Into the West on a shirt, there's some really good Amenable to Witchcraft, Totally a Witch, and
the Ram's Head with the symbols and the wagon wheel. Real good.
So very, very good stuff there. And wear us on your bodies, or in bags, or
Drew, are you flirting with us now?
I mean, as necessary. So anyway, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.
And just to underline something Drew said, Chris and Ash and Ralph or Craig are fine. Just to clarify.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
we play games together.
That's right.
Exactly. We'll catch you next time, folks.
All right. Later, folks.